Welcome to The Explainer. Every single day, millions of investors hop online searching for that one perfect mutual fund, the absolute highest returns, or the ultimate index fund. The noise out there, it is absolutely deafening. But today, we're tuning all of that out. We're going to build a resilient long-term portfolio right from scratch. Think of this as your documentary-style guide to surviving market crashes, inflation, and, honestly, even your own emotions.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Which mutual fund should I buy? This is the trap almost every single beginner falls into. When you're constantly bombarded by online finance gurus screaming about last year's winners, it's so easy to hyper-focus on finding that one magical fund. But almost nobody stops to ask the question that actually matters.
And that question is, how should I build my portfolio? Listen, your returns over the next 20 years do not depend on picking one amazing fund today. Nope. They depend entirely on whether your overall portfolio is built to survive bull markets, bear markets, and the inevitable panic that sets in during a crash. We need a solid system here, not a lottery ticket.
So, here's our game plan for today. We're going to look at why time horizons matter most, how to mix different market caps, and choosing your investment style. Then we'll talk about hedging with gold and global markets, look at a real-world tale of two investors, and wrap it all up with an ultimate Q&A.
Part 1. Time horizons matter most. This is the absolute foundation of your portfolio.
Before you even look at a single fund, we have to lay down this foundation, because time literally dictates everything. History tells us that equity markets don't just go in a straight line up, they move in these multi-year phases. You get periods of wild excitement and periods where things just flatline. Historically, small-cap indices have had the deepest drop-offs and the absolute longest recovery times. So you really have to understand that the smaller the companies, the greater the volatility, and generally the longer you need to be prepared to just sit tight and stay invested.
This is exactly why financial planners draw such a hard line. If your financial goal is only 1 or 2 years away, equity is generally just not the right place for your money. Why? Well, because even a top-tier, fantastic mutual fund can temporarily show negative returns. That isn't a failure of the fund, that's just how equity investing works. It is fundamentally built for riding out that volatility over the long haul so you can actually capture the growth.
All right, part 2, mixing different market caps. This is where we build the walls of your portfolio.
I want you to ask yourself, what happens if you put your entire life savings into just one single segment of the market, and then that segment totally flatlines for 5 years? You would be in for a super stressful time. That's exactly why we look at an illustrative, aggressive long-term allocation like this: 33% large cap, 33% mid cap, and 33% small cap. Now let's be clear, 33 isn't some magic guaranteed formula. But what it is a very natural way to spread your exposure across businesses that are at entirely different stages of their growth cycle.
Breaking that down a bit, each piece of this pie has a very specific job. Your large-cap companies, those are the heavyweights. They provide the stability. Mid-cap companies sit right in the sweet spot, giving you a great balance between growth and maturity. And small-cap companies bring that higher growth potential to the table, but as we talked about a minute ago, they also bring way higher volatility. The core takeaway you need to remember here is that your wealth should never, ever depend entirely on a single segment.
Moving on to part 3, choosing your investment style. This is how we add real depth to your diversification.
Because diversification isn't just about the size of the companies you buy, it's also about the philosophy behind buying them. Imagine 3 experienced investors looking at the exact same market. The first one asks, what companies are undervalued right now? That's value investing. It's an absolutely fantastic approach, especially for mature, large, or flexi-cap companies that might just be temporarily mispriced by the market.
Our second investor takes a totally different route. They ask, what companies are growing rapidly? This is growth investing. It focuses intensely on long-term earnings, and it works brilliantly when you can spot businesses capable of sustained, multi-year expansion, even if they look a little bit expensive today.
And then the third investor asks, what companies are already showing strong price and earnings momentum? You guessed it, that is momentum investing. The thing is, every single one of these approaches has periods where it absolutely shines and periods where it totally struggles. By combining all 3 styles in your portfolio, you drastically reduce your dependence on just one single market environment.
When you actually mix these styles together under the hood of your portfolio, it's kind of like magic. For instance, you might pair a large or flexi-cap fund with a value approach. Then use growth or momentum for your mid-caps and focus on long-term earnings growth for small caps. But
Keep in mind, this is a structural idea. You always have to look under the hood to evaluate the actual fund manager, check their specific mandate, and see their historical consistency.
Card 4. Hedging with gold and global markets. Let's talk about the roof and the insurance of your portfolio.
We are shifting gears to defensive assets now. The golden rule here, pun intended, is super simple. Gold is insurance, not a return machine. So many people get frustrated because they expect gold to consistently beat stocks over long periods. But honestly, you should think of gold like the seatbelt in your car. You don't wear a seatbelt because you expect to crash every day or because it makes your car drive faster, right? You wear it because one day it might literally save you. Its biggest job is behaving differently when those equity markets start to struggle.
That's exactly why you'll often see a very specific allocation recommended by financial planners, somewhere between 5 and 10%. Long-term investors don't hold this to maximize their absolute returns. They hold it because they want that built-in resilience when panic inevitably hits the broader markets. Similarly, stepping outside your home country, say looking beyond a booming market like India, gives you access to massive global companies that you probably use every single day. But it comes with a catch. It introduces currency risk, geopolitical risks, and some pretty complex regulatory differences. International diversification is incredibly helpful for sure, but a quick word of caution. It should simplify your portfolio's risk profile, not complicate your life by making you chase every single foreign market that's making headlines.
Part 5. A tale of two investors. Let's test this blueprint out in the real world.
Let's look at a 5-year scenario comparing two totally different mindsets. On one side, we have Rahul. He takes 10 lakh rupees and dumps it entirely into one small cap fund just because it had spectacular returns last year. As a result, his portfolio goes through these massive stomach-churning swings. On the other side, we have Priya. She evenly spreads her capital across large, mid, and small caps, and she adds a little bit of gold. Over 5 years, Priya might not be the #1 top performer at the absolute peak of a bull market, but thanks to her steady resilience, she survives the crashes without losing her nerve. So here is the crucial point. The biggest advantage in investing isn't earning the highest possible return in a single year. It is avoiding the mistakes that force investors to quit entirely. By keeping your concentration risk low, exactly like Priya did, you prevent that emotional panic that absolutely destroys long-term compounding. And finally, part 6, the ultimate Q&A. Let's put your knowledge to the test. We have gone through a lot of mechanics today, but an explainer is only as good as the action you take afterward. So I want you to head down to the comments right now and tell me your exact allocation percentages across these main buckets: large cap, mid cap, small cap, gold, and your fixed income. Crucially, please do not forget to include your age and your investment horizon. Drop your numbers below, and I'll actually be reviewing some of your real viewer portfolios in a future explainer to discuss what's working and what could maybe be tweaked. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final thought. When you look at your portfolio tomorrow, ask yourself this: are you predicting the future, or are you preparing for it? Because successful investing is never about guessing the next big winner. It is entirely about building a resilient blueprint that thrives no matter what the market throws your way. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and keep building.